Assalamu alaikum. You're tuned into the Sajdah channel, and I am your host, Sajdah Wendy Muhammad. We're going to talk this morning, life, love, and business. Be a friend, tell a friend, and we'll see you on the other side of a few short commercials and a beautiful prayer.
O Allah, guide me among those whom Thou hast guided aright, and preserve me among those whom Thou hast preserved, and befriend me among those whom Thou hast befriended. Bless me in whatsoever Thou dost grant me, and deliver me from the evil of what Thou hast judged. Surely Thou judgest, and none can judge against Thee, and he whom Thou befriendest is not disgraced. Blessed art Thou, O Lord, and exalted be Thee above what they set up besides Thee. I bear witness, nothing deserves to be served besides Thee, and I bear witness that Muhammad is Thy servant and apostle. Amen.
Assalamu alaikum, family. You're tuned into the Sajdah channel, and I am your host, Sajdah Wendy Muhammad. Welcome this morning. Welcome. Man, this weather is really something, right? Really something. I think they said today we were going to feel like 40 below. Oh, man. So it's time to get in the house, get you some comfort food, some chili, I tried to complain this weekend, and I just on a random, I was talking to my aunt and I complained about the weather. And she just said, she said, don't worry, hang in there. It'll be over in a few days. And then she said, if you go somewhere else, everywhere got something. And just like that, she just, got rid of my complaining. I think I was just making small talk complaining because I know that. But a reminder is a blessing, right? So entrepreneurs, we have Ramadan coming up. For those of you all who know, who follow us as Muslims, know that Ramadan is the month of revelation for the Holy Quran, where we fast during the daylight hours. And I love me a winter Ramadan. You know why? Because you're busy throughout the day and it gets light like by 5 o'clock. So there's the summer Ramadan. That's a tough one, right? And I just want to say that, for entrepreneurs, I know sometimes we have to do special preparations to get ready for Ramadan, because we're busy. Sometimes we have a tendency to detach our money from our spirituality. And I think this is an important time for us to begin with our prayers. And I would say that if you're not Muslim, join us in the fasting. Just be with us. If you can't make it the whole, month fasting, be with us. Try to make it some days. Try to make it most days. Maybe you say, well, I can't go. What we do is during the daylight hours, we go without food and water during the daylight hours. I'm explaining this in layman's terms so that it's easy to digest. But what I'm saying is that you can, maybe if you say, well, I've never fasted, I'm not a Muslim. The idea during those daylight hours is to also make sure we're meeting our prayers, but pretty much to be in a prayerful state as we go about our daily business. And we can teach you some of the other things during the day that we also abstain from, like sexual relations and things like that. But I think you should try it. Just try it. You may say, well, I got to drink something. Okay, just try fasting with us just during the daylight hours. It's easy. By the time you get up and go about your daily life and then go to bed, it's been dark. By the time you probably go to bed at 10, it's been dark probably 5 hours, but 5 o'clock comes around fast. So try it and be with us during this time, because prayer and fasting is an opportunity for us to recalibrate ourselves, for us to realign ourselves. It's an opportunity for us to allow our bodies to heal itself. Did you know that your body will heal itself? It's an opportunity to do that. It's just an opportunity to get your discipline back. And then, we read the Holy Quran. We have a prayer line that we're on every morning. But just be with us. Let's just all get still and quiet during this time, whether you're a Muslim or not. I think it's February 17th. We'll talk more about it as time goes on. I was reading in the Holy Quran this morning, and I was asking Allah to give me something. So I got my Quran and turned to the companies, which is Surah 39, part 14. It says, rejectors will be abased. And I'm just going to read it. I don't know why, but something just said, read this. Who is more unjust than he who utters a lie against Allah and denies the truth when it comes to him? Is there not in hell an abode for the disbeliever? And who brings the truth and accepts the truth? Such are the dutiful. They shall have with their Lord what they please. Such is the reward of the doers of good. Whew. That Allah may ward off from them the worst of what they did and give them their reward for the best of what they did. Is not Allah sufficient for him, for his servant? And they seek to frighten thee with those besides him. And whomsoever Allah believes in error, there is no God, no guide for him. I'm trying not to comment because this is really what is happening in the world today. Let me read it and then we'll go back and you can make comments. And whom Allah guides, there is none that can lead him astray. Is not Allah mighty, the Lord of retribution? And if thou ask them, who created the heavens and the earth? They will say, Allah. Say, see you then that those you call upon besides Allah, would they, if Allah desired to afflict me with harm, remove his harm? Or if he desires to show me mercy, could they withhold his mercy? Say, Allah is sufficient for me, on him do the reliant rely. Say, O my people, work in your place. Surely I am a worker, so you will come to know who it is to whom there comes a chastisement, abasing him, and on whom falls a lasting chastisement. Surely we have revealed to thee the book with truth for the good of men. So whoever follows the right way, it is for his own soul. And whoever errs, he errs only to its detriment. And thou art not a custodian over them. I literally was going to say, when I was thinking about, Ramadan and asking those of you to join us as, to the best of your ability, but just be with us in prayer and try your best to fast. If you can't, just be there. Because we are living in uncertain times. And what I mean by uncertain times, there used to be a time where certain principles of the world would hold true. They could make weather predictions. They could make economic predictions. And if you notice now, they be getting the weather wrong. They got the economy all mixed up. And this is alarming to some people. Some people are really alarmed by this. And we always say as Muslims that there is no God but Allah, la ilaha illallah. And in these verses of the beautiful Holy Quran that we just read, he really demonstrated that to us, or illustrated that to us. That Allah may ward off from them the worst of what they did and give them their reward for the best of what they did. So during this prayerful time coming up, as entrepreneurs, let's ask Allah, ward off from me the worst of what I've done and give me the reward for the best of what I've done. And it says, whom Allah guides, there is none that can lead him astray. It also says, is not Allah sufficient for his servant? They seek to frighten thee with those besides him. There's so many things in this world that are being used to frighten us. Things that are being used to make us feel like God doesn't exist. Money. Yaqub and his people are good at that, making us think that money is a God and that money replaces God. And even if we don't think it outright, he puts us in a position where a lot of times our actions will be as if other things like money, our job, is a God. And again, we say, there is no God but Allah. And they seek to frighten thee with those besides him. And then he goes on to say, and whomsoever Allah leaves in error, there is no guide for him. I remember Sister Ava, may Allah be pleased with her, said one time in a lecture, all Allah got to do is just leave us alone. And if he leaves us alone, there ain't nothing nobody else can do for us. But if he's there with us, then nobody can harm us. So when we go into this blessed Ramadan as entrepreneurs, I also want us to remember, and I say this because a lot of us are techies, a lot of us are intellectuals, if you will. The prayer, the secret of our prayers is in the feeling. So the feeling is the prayer, not the words. Because the words can become a ritual. The words can just be something you say. They say in the Christian church, sometimes you got to go to the wailing wall. The prayer is in the feelings. You don't always got to be wailing every time you pray. I'm just using that as an example. But the prayer is the feeling. When you say, oh Allah, what is the feeling behind that? When you say, thank you, Allah, all praise is due to Allah. The feeling behind all praise is due to Allah is the prayer, not the words. That's why a lot of times in the Nation of Islam, which they criticize us about, we don't learn the Arabic first. We learn it in English because the feeling is actually the prayer. So when you come into orientation class, until you learn the power and the emotion and you begin to attach emotion behind the prayer, we give it to you in English. So in the name of Allah, the beneficent, the merciful. Then later, as you understand, it's Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. Okay? You learn, because there's power in that rhythm as well. See, that everything in the universe is all about rhythm, but the real important thing to remember is that the feeling is the prayer. That's why when you saw Tina Turner and What's Love Got to Do with It, and she was like, Yamno ho renge kyo. And people like, well, what? It's not that Yamno ho renge kyo that was giving her the power to leave this abusive relationship. It's the feeling behind Yamno ho renge kyo, right? That was giving her the power. The feeling is the prayer. So before you go and do anything, once you get the feeling, now you can access the power in the Bismillah, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, in the name of Allah, the beneficent, the merciful. Before you do anything, oh, I got to make this quick phone call, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Good afternoon or whatever, right? Getting in the car, I'm getting ready to go, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Why? Because I'm calling on Allah in the name of Allah, the beneficent, the merciful. I need his mercy. I need his blessings as I'm moving throughout the day, as I'm making phone calls, as I'm cooking food. I'm putting the feeling in the food. So the prayer is the feeling and not the words. And so when you couple the prayer with fasting, it has a tendency to intensify the feeling, Why? Because during that period of fasting, when you're working on yourself and you're working on things and you're saying, oh, Allah, forgive me for this, or allow me to let go of that, or thank you for this, or oh my goodness, I didn't realize that you were there in that situation. That creates a feeling. And that feeling becomes the prayer. Because you can just say the words, our Father who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name, thy kingdom come. You could just say the words. But saying the words is different from the feeling behind the word. So when he says be and it is, being before you are is a feeling. So since feeling is the prayer, whatever it is that you want, you got to feel it first. So people use different things. They use visualization. They see it. They say, oh, I see it. And when they see it, the seeing of it brings in a certain energy. And when they feel that beautiful energy, now it's like, oh, Allah, I want this. You want a new car? You feel, what's it feel like in that new car? What's it smell like? What's it driving like? Go test drive it so you can feel it. And then once you feel it and you're praying for it, you're attaching the words where you're asking for it to a feeling. Let me know in the chat if this is making sense to any of you all. So we ask you to be with us during this blessed upcoming month of Ramadan. We got some days, about 20 days, I think, left or so. And we'll tell you more about it. But just think about it. I just want to drop that seed. So you just think about it. And think about it as a time to go deeper and more intense with your prayers, deeper and more intense with your love. Love is the same thing, right? Love is the action, not the word. So when we say, oh, Allah, I love you, are you just saying those words? But what does your saying, I love you, encompass? When I just said that, the feeling of gratitude, the feeling of how he goes before me and prepares the table comes to me. The feeling of how he don't play about me. The feeling of being his beloved. When I say, oh, Allah, I love you. Alhamdulillah. When I say that, there's a feeling behind it. Okay? So some of this is sometimes we have to relearn it, because I remember growing up in the Catholic Church, we learned these words. And I remember I've told this story before, but I'm going to tell it now. Again, you go through first communion and all of that. And I was going to my first confession. And there was not as much of a hoopla over first confession as there was over first communion. And I remember being at my grandmother's house, and I used to mimic her as she read the hymnals. And I've always been a good reader. And actually, in all actuality, no one actually taught me how to read. I just started reading. And there are people in my family that can bear witness to that. And now that I think about it, how I really couldn't see, I don't know what I was doing. What if I was intuiting on another level? But I had very poor eyesight when I was little. So I couldn't see. I don't know that I could have. I don't know if I could even read the little words on the paper, but I just knew what was on the paper. And so she had these little hymnal books that were these really tiny books that were probably about a little smaller than the phone, or about this size. And she would sit there and read. And when she would get her one, I would get me one. And every morning, when she woke up, she would get her coffee, and then she would read the hymnals. And so sometimes she would leave us in the kitchen to eat our cereal or whatever, and she'd go in the den and be reading her hymnal. So I'd come in there and climb up on the chair, and I'm reading the hymnal. So I nursed my reading skills on the Father, the Son, and the Holy Ghost. But I remember when I was going to my first confession, and I went to the class, and I was sitting there with her going over the hymnals, and I was very confused. And if you know anything about my relationship with my grandmother, sorry to my other cousins, but I was the favorite. Okay. She wasn't getting ready to hit me. She wasn't getting ready to fuss at me. Whatever I wanted to do. Now, my brother and them, my cousin them, they got woe out. But she had that belt over her shoulder. I never felt the sting of her belt. But she fussed at me. And it hurt me. I could feel the hurt right now to this day. I asked her a question. I said, I don't know what to say during my first confession. I don't know. And she went off on me. I don't remember all of what she said, but I remember the last part. She said, you get upstairs and don't you go in there and talk to no white man about your problems. You go upstairs and you talk to God. And I was like, wait, that ain't what they taught us. But I cried more so because of the feeling I felt when she fussed at me. And I went upstairs and cried, and she came up there a little while later and told me to come upstairs and come out on the porch with her. That was kind of like her way of making up. And, so I did just that. I went in a confession and I made up something. And she said to me, he ain't going to do nothing but tell you to say some Hail Marys. And you go kneel down and you say those Hail Marys, but you make sure you talk to God. And then I started saying, well, wait a minute. And I'm telling that story because in that moment, she helped me with something the minister said to me a couple months ago. He said, when you have a relationship with God, you're never alone. But at that moment, at 7 years old, when my grandmother said, get upstairs and go talk to God. For one, I didn't know that she knew that I talked to God. Because I had been talking to this being since as long as I could remember. I've been interacting with it, having conversations. You know, my brother would tease me about sitting in the front yard and getting stung by a bee because I just wanted to be out there and be with this being that she helped me in that moment to learn was God. Now I realized then that we was real hypocrites in the Catholic Church, because now I realize we don't even believe this stuff. But that's another story. But she shocked her little grandbaby into knowing that it was okay to have that interpersonal relationship with God. And she shocked me into understanding that the prayer is in the feeling, because how else am I going to have a relationship if I don't emote feeling? Right? If I go sit down afterwards and say, Hail Mary, full of grace, that's nothing, because there's no feeling. I'm just reciting. But if I got to go up there and talk to God, now I'm talking about something that is intimate to me, because it's me and God. And in that intimacy, there is feeling. And in that intimacy, there is privacy. There is feeling. So I'm never alone. So I take that with me everywhere I go. And in those moments where I'm having that feeling, it could be, I could say, oh, Allah, I don't even feel like, it's too cold to be walking down the street. I need a parking spot. Boop, right there. Or sometimes I will have just said to myself, man, I got a lot of running around today. I don't know if I'm gonna be able to work out. I probably need to park far away. And when I get there, I may have forgotten that I said that, and the only parking spot is way down there, and I gotta walk. But the prayer and the communication is in the feeling. So in that intimate relationship where you're having conversations about everything that you're doing, you're emoting a feeling, and the prayer or the communication is in the feeling. So when we're reading the Holy Quran and we're learning to attach feeling to these beautiful words, now we're finding all kind of different ways, and this is one of my life goals, is to find as many different ways to communicate with Allah. So I like having beautiful things. You can see I like artwork. I like crystals. I like having beautiful things around me because that allows me to communicate. It could be a book. It could be how I write. I got where's my Ramadan notebook? I got my Ramadan notebook. This is actually the one from last year where I'm just communicating my feelings each year with Allah. So I was going each day with Allah. I was going through just kind of some of my feelings each day that I was writing down during Ramadan. I don't know if y'all could see that, but this is all of these feelings that month. And so I got a little space left in this notebook, so I may pick up with this one, but that one's from last year. But just that communication, the prayer is in the feeling. So be with us. Here's the other thing I want us to be conscious of. Now that we got that, when we're watching television, when we're watching and deciding on movies to watch, be very mindful of the feeling that that movie invokes, or that show or that series or the news invokes in you. Sometimes you can't help it. And sometimes you need to just say, you know what, Allah, that made me so mad. And share that feeling that you're having with Allah, and be mindful about what we read in this verse about how they want to frighten us with those besides him. So sometimes these shows, these movies are designed to make us feel as if God doesn't exist. How? Because for many of us, our feelings are separate from God. And so if there's a movie and it's highly sexual, you may have a feeling about that. If it's a movie and it's about money, you may have a feeling about that. If it's about fear, if it's about murder, there are feelings that get invoked. And sometimes in that short period of time, those feelings can become so intense. And in the intensity of those feelings, it then becomes elongated throughout the course of the day or whatever. And a lot of times it trumps the feeling that we have with God, that exchange of feelings that we have with God. That movie that we just watched just trumped that. That's why shows and movies that really invoke you to love God and have a relationship with God or communicate with God are the best. Because it's like you're going into a pressure cooker, some kind of intense laser that is saying whatever, love, 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 murder, 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 sex, 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 whatever it's saying, it's invoking an intense feeling. And then that intense feeling impacts you, believe it or not, the decisions you make afterwards. I hear people say, I remember, I got to tell y'all a funny story. One of my good friends, her name is Tony. And Tony is the one who got me starting to watch Lifetime movies. I don't even watch them anymore because I don't have time. But back in the day, Lifetime was always staged in Chicago. And so we used to watch Lifetime movies. I think it started here in Chicago. So we would watch these movies, and it'd be all kind of stuff about housekeepers killing their husband. I'm talking about the old school Lifetime movies, not these new ones that are I'm talking about the old school B-rated Lifetime movies where they had the old cars. They'd be in Chicago, and they let a housekeeper in the house, and the housekeeper be poisoning them, all kind of stuff. And so I think probably some months went by after she told me about it, and we would be talking on the phone. Girl, you see this one? You see that one? And one day she said, girl, Lifetime mess you up. You can't be watching Lifetime. I said, well, now you tell me. Because sometimes, we would watch and be like, girl, remember? We got scared. I remember it was some incident that happened on Lower Wacker in one of the movies. And to this day, when I drive down Lower Wacker, I get nervous. That's how intense that pressure cooker feeling can be. It can last as if it really actually happened. So we was running around here all messed up over Lifetime movies back in the day. This was this is back when it was good. I can't remember when it was, but now it's all polished and they got a budget. But back then they didn't have no budget. I don't know if there were just random people submitting movies. I don't know what it was, but it's them old ones that's good. The new ones you kind of can tell that it's like, this ain't real. You just watching it. But them old ones, man, they were so realistic. You literally could be like, okay, I see that car driving down the street. Oh, man. All right, y'all. I hope this helped you all today. Let me see who we got in the chat this morning. Please give me some feedback and let me know what you thought. Okay, I see you, Sister Mildred. I'm looking forward to our coaching session in March. Okay, let's see who else we got here. Mom says, happy Friday. Stay warm, everyone. Homeless to have shelter. Oh, great. Oh, she said, thankful to have shelter. Amen. George Jackson says, salam alaikum, everyone. Peace and greetings. Yes, yes. Wa alaikum salam. Angela Muhammad says, assalamu alaikum, family. She got the hearts. Wa alaikum salam, sis. She said, good teaching, sis. Aaron X Dunlap just says, love. Thank you, Brother Aaron. Love, love. And thank you to each and every one of y'all. I see a bunch of y'all. I see the numbers up here. Bunch of y'all here, but you're not in the chat. And it's all right. That's okay. Because I know sometimes when we have heavier subjects, and I'm not going to belabor it, we have to think, right? But just remember that the prayer, the feeling is the prayer, not the words. The only way the words become the prayer is if your feeling matches the word. That's real talk. Okay, family. So I'm busy. I'm working. I'm getting ready for Windows to the World. We're finishing up the doing some final touches and things like that on the house. It's a lot. I've been humping. We're working on the database for your membership coins. I'm hoping to have that. Mom says, pray for the homeless in this frigid weather. Absolutely. Working on the database for your commemorative Elijah coin. Hoping to have it done by the 17th. So by the time we get to Savior's Day, we can give you the little card where you can go in and register your coin. So if you didn't put your coin away somewhere, go find your coin and get the number off the back of it, because you're going to put that in there and it's going to unlock benefits. We're going to be sending some information out. If you have a business that's a respectable business and you want to offer some kind of discount to our members, let us know. You'll see some information. I'm going to probably do like a webinar on that. And so you'll get, if you're on the database, you'll get some information. Also, with the Windows to the World program, we're working on that as well. We're going to start off with 20 windows. We're going to pick 20 artists who can transfer their vision, their feelings, their emotions in an artistic form to these windows that are from the former home of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad. And then we're going to auction them off, but we ain't from that class where we're going to stiff our artists. We're going to give a healthy percentage of what we make to the artist, because we want you to know that we respect and honor you. So I don't want to be, excuse me, like a lot of these galleries out here that take artists' work on consignment and never pay them for it, or take their work and give them 10%, or do some kind of weird contract with them. I think that that's very predatory, because art in and of itself is a very personal thing. See, because as an artist, once you put your art out there, it no longer belongs to you. It belongs to the person who is viewing it, who is hearing it, and their interpretation. So there's a tendency for people to see art or hear a song and feel like they own it. But we want to pay those artists for giving us those additional expressions and additional ways in which to communicate with Allah, and that's through art. So we're going to have a theme. The project is called Windows to the World. It's a fundraiser for the house. We're going to do bidding. We're going to do auction. We're going to be able to display them in the house so that you can see it. That's one of many things we have coming up. We have, and you all may have seen the flyer, but we have another screening of The Messenger's Residence coming up. Get the flyer, go register. You can register in person. We're about half sold out. So I think there's only about 20 more seats if you want to come to the house and do the screening. But there's also online. And so you'll be able to do it, in the comfort of your home. And that price is a little bit different. That donation amount is a little bit different. But we've been taping this series, The Messenger's Residence. You saw the first during the play, The Day I Met God. That was the first one. And now you're going to see another episode coming up if you come to our next upcoming event. All right. Those of you who want coaching, right now the schedule's open, but coming towards the end of the month, I'm going to probably in March, I'm going to close the coaching schedule off again, because it gets a little bit like, that means that every hour of my day is occupied, right? I'm like, okay, from this time, and it's okay. I love it. We also got the fellowship going on. We're going to be taking applications for the second cohort coming up here soon. So I'm grateful. I'm blessed to be able to create. We're working hard, still trying to raise money for the house. We've been grinding. Independent museums require community support, and we're grateful for your support so far. So we want you to come to the events. I'll make a little promo video about, I already got a promo video. I'll play the promo video tomorrow for the Messenger's Residence, and you'll see it. Y'all got to come see this. I'm telling you, you got to come see it. We've been working hard, and it is absolutely amazing. And I'm so grateful for the way that we've been blessed to represent the Honorable Elijah Muhammad and preserve the history. So, but family, stay blessed, stay prayerful. And before you complain, remember this too shall pass. Okay. We will see you all tomorrow morning, inshallah, bright and early. And I'll try to have my promo video up so you can learn more about the Messenger's Residence, and we'll talk about it. Okay. So that'll be our conversation tomorrow. Let me think. Did I forget anything? If I did, I'll tell y'all tomorrow. Assalamu alaikum, family. Love you all. Peace and blessings.
The Honorable Elijah Muhammad, who in my judgment is the master historian, taught us that of all our studies, history is the most attractive, and it is best qualified to reward the researcher. History is most attractive. Why should history be most attractive? Because history is the recorded time of the human family in its struggle to overcome obstacles. There is no life that is without struggle. The Holy Quran teaches us that man, meaning man and woman, is made to face difficulties. And after difficulty comes ease. But it is history that guides us through difficulty. For if you know how people who had difficulty yesterday got through, and if your difficulty is somewhat similar, then today we also can get through if we follow the guidance of history. This is why Carter G. Woodson and many of our black giants fought for black people to know our history. Because in not knowing our history, we don't have a guide. And without a guide, we are lost. No wonder the Bible